Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty important, a big global challenge. How we actually fund the water infrastructure our planet desperately needs. Now, you might think funding infrastructure may be a bit dry, but honestly, the scale of the problem and some of the solutions people are working on, it's actually pretty fascinating.
Absolutely.
We'll look at this huge gap, right? An annual funding shortfall. Get this. Over $711 billion. And that's just for what they call nature-based solutions.
Right, things like using wetlands for flood control or for water purification, natural systems.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. These same natural solutions, they provide something like $125 trillion in environmental benefits every year.
It's a staggering figure. The mismatch is huge.
It really is. It shows we're failing to properly finance things that give us massive returns, environmentally and economically.
We really are leaving so much value on the table. It's inefficient. And when you start looking at how these projects have typically been funded, well, you see the problem.
You see the roadblocks.
Yeah, some deep-seated structural issues that just make it hard for capital to flow smoothly into these kinds of projects.
Okay, and that brings us nicely to the company we're focusing on today, AQAIX. They're based in Santa Cruz, California, founded back in 2017. And their whole focus is trying to bridge this exact funding gap. They've got cloud-based software specifically designed for financing resilience infrastructure, especially water projects.
They're positioning themselves as innovators, trying to carve out more efficient paths for investment in this really critical area.
And what's interesting is how they're doing it.
Yes, exactly. It's not just small tweaks. They seem to be rethinking the whole process. They're combining advanced financial tools with some pretty cutting-edge tech.
Like AI, blockchain.
Yeah, artificial intelligence, blockchain, APIs, that kind of tech. It's a forward-thinking mix, really trying to transform how we finance water infrastructure.
Okay, let's unpack that. Our mission for this deep dive, then, is to really get under the hood of how AQAIX is trying to revolutionize this financing using technology. What are they actually doing with this tech? How does it directly tackle those funding challenges we mentioned? Maybe let's start with the big two, AI and blockchain. How do they fit in here?
Okay. Well, what's really interesting is how they work together. AI is fantastic at chewing through enormous amounts of data, right? So AQAIX uses it for predictive modeling and, crucially, for risk assessment. Imagine being able to figure out with much higher accuracy which water projects are likely solid investments.
Okay, so reducing the guesswork.
Exactly. Getting a clearer picture of the risks up front. We've seen similar things in, say, renewable energy, where AI models have hit almost, 99% accuracy in predicting impacts. There's potential for that kind of precision here, too.
So AI is like a superpowered analyst, helping investors make smarter bets by crunching all that data.
Pretty much, yeah.
So where does blockchain come in then?
Well, if AI brings the smart analysis, blockchain brings the trust. It creates a transparent record, and this is key, a record that can't be tampered with.
Immutable.
Exactly, an immutable ledger of all the transactions and data tied to a project. In a sector like this, where you really need transparency and accountability, that's incredibly valuable. It builds confidence.
Confidence for investors, regulators, communities.
All of them, yeah. And think about smart contracts built on blockchain. You can automate things. Like payments could be automatically released only when certain pre-agreed environmental targets are met.
The pay-for-performance idea.
That's it. Or performance-based green bonds. It basically builds accountability right into the system. So if you're an investor, you get this sort of tamper-proof assurance that your money's doing what it's supposed to do, and the impact is tracked accurately.
Right, okay. So AI for smarter choices, blockchain for trust and transparency. Makes sense. They seem to be tackling both the investment strategy side and that crucial trust issue. To help us picture this better, maybe some analogies. How have AI and blockchain been used elsewhere that might shed light on this?
Sure. Think about Power Ledger. They use blockchain for peer-to-peer energy trading. You could maybe see something similar happening with water projects eventually, perhaps trading surplus clean energy from a treatment plant decentralized.
Interesting.
Or look at supply chains. Walmart uses IBM's Food Trust blockchain, right, to trace where food comes from. AQAIX could potentially use a similar model to track, say, the ethical sourcing of materials for building water infrastructure. Adds another layer of trust.
Okay, those help visualize it. So AI and blockchain handle the intelligence and trust. Now, you also mentioned data integration APIs. Sounds a bit technical, maybe. What do APIs do here?
Yeah, they sound technical, but they're really, really vital for making the finance side smoother. Think of APIs as like standardized digital plugs. They let different software systems talk to each other and share data easily.
Great.
In water finance, data can be all over the place, different utilities, government bodies, investors, it's fragmented. APIs help create a single unified digital space.
Breaking down the silos.
Exactly. So everyone involved can securely get the data they need to make good decisions, especially when you're trying to pull together the different pieces, the tranches of funding for a big project. It just makes the whole marketplace more efficient and transparent.
So it overcomes that problem of data being locked up everywhere, gives a better overview.
Yeah.
And AQAIX has a specific way they do this, their REST API architecture.
Yes. The REST API, and think of it as a common digital language, lets them pull data from all these different places right into their own water finance marketplace platform.
A central hub.
Pretty much. And on that platform, stakeholders can properly evaluate project risks, potential returns. They can even build online portfolios focused specifically on green stuff,
Right.
like improving watershed health.
Right, a specialized hub for green water investments. How does this compare to, say, other financial data platforms? The outline mentioned Intrinio, AlphaVantage.
Good question. Platforms like Intrinio and AlphaVantage, they're great for broad financial market data, very comprehensive. AQAI shows that focus on solid data integration, definitely. But their big difference is the niche focus, water infrastructure. And importantly, weaving in that blockchain tech for the extra trust and accountability layer we talked about.
So, more specialized, focused on impact.
You could call it impact fintech, yeah. They're tackling the specific needs of the water sector, unlike the broader platforms.
And there's a real-world case, the water tower in the southeast, using AQAIX's API.
Yes, that's a good example. The water tower supports a lot of small and mid-sized utilities. For these smaller players, going digital can be expensive and complex.
A big hurdle.
It is. So AQAIX's API gives them scalable tools. They can manage their data securely, show off their projects to funders, and actually track the environmental ROI, the benefits they're delivering. It kind of democratizes access to these sophisticated tools.
Okay, so bringing all this data together, using tech like AI and APIs, aims to make the risks and rewards clearer, which leads us right into risk assessment and due diligence. How does the AQAIX handle that? It sounds critical.
Oh, absolutely critical. If you want to attract investors, especially for long-term infrastructure, you need a really solid, transparent way to assess risk.
Makes sense.
AQAIX emphasizes this. They provide a clear framework outlining risks, managing expectations. They use their own software. And again, AI comes in here. It helps them analyze and actually quantify the benefits, not just the economic ones, but environmental and social impacts too.
A holistic view then.
Yeah.
Beyond just dollars and cents.
Exactly. And that feeds into their due diligence. They look at things like the overall health of a watershed, for example. Then they package up portfolios of these beneficial green projects.
So funders can co-invest more easily.
With more confidence, yeah. Because they get a much clearer picture of the risks and the potential upsides, both financial and impact-wise. And again, blockchain tracks that environmental ROI securely, reinforces the accountability.
It sounds like they're trying to bring a lot more rigor and transparency, maybe compared to how things were done before. The outline mentioned aquafill and biodiversity. Is that relevant here?
It's a good parallel. Aquafill uses tools to assess biodiversity risks and impacts. They focus on renewable energy, sustainable water use. It shows that integrating strong ESG, environmental, social, governance factors is becoming best practice.
Right.
AQAIX's focus on quantifying all those benefits really aligns with this broader shift towards impact investing. Investors increasingly want to see positive social and environmental outcomes, not just financial returns.
And AI isn't just for the financial side of risk, is it? Can it help with like operational stuff too?
Oh, definitely. AI can be a real game changer there. Think about predicting water main breaks.
Okay, yeah. That'd be useful.
Huge. By analyzing historical data, sensor readings, current conditions, AI can help utilities see these coming, do proactive maintenance, saves money, avoids disruptions.
Makes sense.
And also optimizing energy use in water systems. You might not realize, but water systems use a lot of energy. In the US, it's like 30, maybe 40% of municipal energy budgets.
Wow, that much.
Yeah. So using AI to optimize that, big potential for savings and efficiency gains.
Okay, that's a really striking point about energy. So AI is woven through their whole risk management approach, from finance to operations. Now, once a project is vetted, risks assessed, how does AQAIX actually connect the project with the investors? the matching part.
Right, this is where their algorithms come in. Powered by AI, using all that data they've aggregated. They're designed to match investor preferences, things like risk appetite, return expectations, specific sustainability goals, with the detailed profiles of the water projects available on their platform.
And their platform is called Nimbus.
Yeah, the Nimbus Cloud platform. A key part of that is its focus on MRV. That's monitoring, reporting, and verification.
Okay, why is MRV so important?
It's absolutely essential for building investor confidence. It provides the proof, the evidence, that the project is actually delivering the environmental impact it promised. Transparency in action.
So it's not just matchmaking, it's also tracking performance after the investment. And AI helps there too.
Exactly. Post-funding monitoring is crucial. Water projects generate tons of data from SCADA control systems, maintenance software, sensors. It's a lot, and it's varied.
Heterogeneous data, right?
Right. AI can make sense of all that. It can spot trends, predict issues like those pipe breaks again, and just give everyone a clear, data-driven view of how the project's doing. You could even imagine integrating really fast, low-latency data feeds like financial platforms use. Polygon.io is mentioned, for near real-time monitoring.
A really dynamic, data-rich way to manage these investments over time. Now, the outline also mentioned blended finance and a partnership with Keystone Capital in India and the Middle East. How does that fit in?
Yeah, that Keystone collaboration is a great example of how they're enabling these innovative financing models, especially in emerging markets. These regions often face serious water stress.
Right.
Keystone specializes in turning tech into performance-based services using smart capital structuring. By teaming up with AQAIX using those blockchain smart contracts we talked about.
The pay-for-performance ones.
Exactly. Pay for performance, green bonds. They're applying these models to vital water projects in places like India and the Middle East. It's about mobilizing private money to help meet huge needs, like achieving the UN's Sustainable Development Goal 6, clean water and sanitation for all.
That really shows the potential impact, deploying tech to tackle global challenges. Now, sustainability.kishi, that's been a constant thread. How does AQAIX bake ESG analytics into their platform for sustainable investing?
It's really core to what they do. They use what's called asset-level ESG analytics.
Asset level.
Meaning they assess the environmental, social, and governance factors right down at the level of the individual project, the specific asset. It gives everyone a much more granular, specific understanding of the sustainability aspects of an investment.
So not just a vague green label, but detailed specifics.
Precisely. And they work with ecometrics on this.
Ecometrics. What's
Yeah.
their role?
Ecometrics has this established methodology. It lets them rigorously quantify and even put a dollar value on the full range of impacts. Environmental stuff like carbon reduction, flood control, social benefits like better public health, economic boosts like job creation.
Wow, quantifying all of that.
Yeah. And by integrating this into their platform, AQAIX offers documented, auditable metrics. That's really attractive to investors who care about sustainability, and it lines up perfectly with goals like SDG 6.
And there are real projects using this. Aquifer recharge in California, stormwater management on the East Coast.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
AQAIX has helped finance these kinds of nature-based solutions. In California, groundwater depletion is a huge issue, so they've backed projects to recharge aquifers.
Critical work.
Definitely. And on the East Coast, managing stormwater runoff is becoming more urgent with heavier rainfall. They're funding projects there too. These examples show how applying detailed ESG analytics helps channel investment into projects with real high impact.
And investor confidence goes up
Because of the data transparency from blockchain, and because they can clearly see how the investment aligns with global sustainability goals through things like performance-based financing.
Okay, so AQAIX seems to be hitting a lot of the key challenges head on. But just to recap, what were those main historical obstacles they're specifically trying to overcome? And where are the big growth opportunities now?
Well, historically, big hurdles included things like regulatory uncertainty, rules changing or being unclear, and also a lack of really standardized, robust ways to do due diligence.
Which creates doubt, makes investors nervous.
Exactly. It creates a trust deficit, makes investors hesitate. AQAIX tackles this with their Nimbus platform focusing on data integrity, streamlining that MRV process we talked about. It builds trust and makes good projects more accessible.
Okay, and looking forward, opportunities.
Emerging markets are huge. Think the Middle East, Southeast Asia, Africa. They're facing serious water stress and need climate-resilient infrastructure urgently.
And AQAIX's platform is scalable.
Yeah, their software as a service model is designed to scale. It's well suited for those blended finance models needed to bring public and private money together in these regions. Plus, the whole industry is waking up to the power of digital platforms and AI and infrastructure. AQAIX is already there, with tools for things like water trading and data-driven finance, puts them in a strong position.
So they're tackling current problems and seem well placed for future trends. Any specific strategic moves we might expect from them?
While developing even smarter AI risk assessment tools seems logical, tools that can analyze complex environmental and social factors almost in real time.
Hmm.
Expanding geographically into those underserved regions is obviously key to hitting that global funding gap.
Wow.
And just continuing to leverage blockchain for transparency and financing, that will only build more market trust.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, it really seems AQAIX is making a difference by cleverly using technology, AI, blockchain, APIs to fix some long-standing problems in funding water infrastructure.
Right.
Their focus on data, on MRV, on new financial tools,
Mm.
it feels like a solid approach.
It does. And with water stress growing globally, especially in developing areas, a scalable framework like theirs offers a really hopeful path forward. A way to unlock the massive investment that's needed for a more water-secure future.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about the bigger picture. If this kind of tech approach catches on more widely, what could that mean for global water security in the long run?
Yeah.
And could we see similar platforms pop up for other critical infrastructure, energy, transport, food systems? It's definitely a space worth watching. Thanks for digging into this with us today.